Sorry. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. Hey, Madam Clerk, please,
Mr. Malloy,
here.
Mr. Hernandez.
Here.
Mr. Bernard.
Here.
Okay. So first on the agenda, we do have a presentation, but that will take place tomorrow and not today. And that's going to be presented by Beth Carmichael. Okay. Item number one is to dispense with reading the minutes of the workshop session, May 12th, and the regular meeting, May 13th, and accept and approve the video recordings of both meetings. Item two is to approve the bills. Item three, the auditor has asked if she could address this when she comes in towards the end of the meeting to do her executive session. Okay. Item four, to amend Commissioner's regular meeting agenda dated April 3rd, 2025. Item number seven that read to approve expending funds originally allocated by the American Rescue Plan Act Memorandum of Understanding for the Trumbull County Fairgrounds 4-H Building and Related Structures Project, located 899 Everett Hall Road in Cortland, with Ron Store Commercial Sound, in the amount of $82,091, revising the total contract amount to $718,847. Amendment is necessary to remove Ron Storer Commercial Sound and replace with Hudson Communications LLC in the amount of $82,091. And this was placed on by Mr. Selinsky.
Mike Selinsky, Trumbull County Building Official. Commissioners, this was previously awarded as Lisa stated. Broad Store Commercial Sound has got some medical issues. They're unable to complete the project in time for the fair. They have signed a release that the fair board had prepared for them to release them from the contract. The fair board has gone out and has contracted, solicited prices from Hudson Communications. They have a history with them. They're going to do it at the same price. So it's all we're swapping is the vendors on this one. No money's been expended at this time. So this is just to swap the vendor name on that originally allocated ARPA funds.
So, Barry, you and I had talked. We didn't pay anything to this store.
These gave us a bill, but we haven't inspected the work other than Hudson came out and some of the work will have to be redone.
Right.
So we're going to keep track
Do
of
we
what's
owe him?
redone.
And anything that anything beyond this contract is going to be on the fair. So there's a number out there that I've seen, and it was like $6,000, and part of that was for engineering. Well, Mr. Store is not an engineer, and he can't charge for engineering service there unless you're a registered engineer. So there's some legal consequences there that we're obviously not going to pay that. That was never part of the original contract. We're going to engineer the sound system. Now, there was work done, and there's a question about the suitability of that work. So that work has not been accepted. That being the case, that administrative aspect of this is going to be on the fair board to work that out with Mr. Store. And then, and what we're saying is for our ARPA funds, we want them to go to this new company to get this thing done before the fair. So we have a PA sound system.
And Hudson definitely trust Hudson, but are we able to utilize some of those speakers and whatever they did put up? Or are we going to have to do
There's $51,000 worth of parts already paid for. So we have them on the grounds. Hudson will then assume them off of us,
Okay.
and then he'll buy the remainder.
Oh.
So the price is still going to be $71,091 for parts.
So the contract's for $718,000?
No, sir.
$82,019, $91.
Sure, Taylor, Commissioners.
We've called it before.
It's not time.
Mr. Danzo, so can we just switch vendors like that?
This is an ARPA question, and I have not been ARPA counsel for the board. I really can't answer, to be honest, to how that works in the ARPA case.
I would, it should not be an issue.
I mean, I do know that they're saying no additional
No.
funding.
It's just a different vendor because.
And it's under what, 71,000? Well, it's under 75 grand.
Yeah, I don't think there's a problem to switch it out for them.
Well, we got an additional duty tell.
It says 82 here.
That was the total. It's not just that. He was talking about the equipment because they had bought the equipment. The equipment's sitting there and it's ready to go. It was just, that was the install cost. I do believe it was.
Not to exceed 10,000 was the labor.
It's considered a small project under the uniform guidance, ARPA funding, uniform guidance.
That's right.
250,000
Yeah.
is the
it was
threshold for the
250,
ARPA, small projects.
This, I did want to point out, the 718,000, it looks like that's what is contracted. That should not be treated like that.
I could,
I read that.
I can shed some light on that. And
Okay,
probably explain why I'm here at the same time.
okay.
So this all originated from the 4-H building that we had constructed for the Fair Board. And so we had allocated monies for the Fair Board to do a series of projects. Paving, restroom projects, and it took several years. The 4-H building was the last one. We had a great bid from a local contractor, so there was quite a bit of money left on the table that we had allocated for the Fair Board. That money was then divvied up, and that's what that references. That was divvied up for, what did we do? We did the swine pens,
Sounds
we did, sound system. We did, I know there was a whole myriad of projects at the fairgrounds that were done with that residual monies that was left over from the 4-H building. And that one of them was this project, so that's why that original journal entry references that money.
Right, but I think it's been more than that has been expended, more than 718,000. That's what
Well,
I'm saying.
but that 718 is referencing the amount of money that was spent on the 4-H building.
With the building,
That was the
okay.
running tally of all the projects from ARPA only.
We were at 850 is what we allocated to the building.
Yes.
And we're only at 718 is what I'm saying, I believe.
I think.
So we did allocate 850 to the building. We went under that.
That was an ARPA tally, not, there was other monies, but it wasn't ARPA.
Then we voted with the, I think the pens, big pens was
Pens.
first. And then they came back and said, what about the sound system?
The sound system, there was other things too, I know there's some other stuff, I can't remember. Yeah.
Well, it definitely needs to be done before the fair.
Well, I think if you look back at the first journal, it was April 6th of last year.
Right.
He's got health issues, and the guy that is main worker, he's battling cancer. So we had to approach him. We got to move on. I can't go much longer with no sound system.
No, we can't deal with it. I called him, I called him too,
Yeah.
Barry, and we got him to move, but he's definitely not right, so. I don't have a problem with that.
I don't.
before the fair.
I don't foresee a problem with changing the vendor.
Right.
Okay. Item number 5, to execute the 2026 application for certificate of coverage annual fee assessment statement for Trumbull County's petroleum underground storage tanks for the term July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. To authorize the Board of Commissioners to vote said application to Petroleum Underground Storage Tank Release Compensation Board. Tara?
Sheriff Taylor Commissioner's Office, this is yearly. We have to register these tanks with the state fire marshal every year. So it's routine.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Selinsky has one other thing he wanted to talk about, so he can leave and get back to work. Is it all right if we let him address that now regarding the law library stuff?
Sure. Julie, you want to start? Mike Swansky.
Sure.
This has to do with the law library steps.
So they completed the exploratory, Julie Green, Trumbull County Planning. Terrari completed the underground exploratory part of the project that was covered under the contingency. And they submitted their plan and proposal to Strollo, and they're reviewing it currently. I don't know if Daryl had a chance to look at it, or Michael. I would like Michael to speak to the technical part of it, though.
So the steps propers, when you looked at that monument steps, with the two monuments of the steps, and they lead up, and there's two steps that goes to a landing. And at the time of the engineering, they didn't have access to see how this was constructed. And to do a complete project, they would replace the landing as well. But we weren't sure on how the construction was, right? So they left an allocation in there for exploratory, and there was a budget already in the funding. There was some monies to replace whatever that is that we don't know about. So that we've gotten in there, we've looked at it, we've had multiple meetings, and we've come up with a solution where we're gonna leave the landing, but under the landing, if you go out there, you could see it, there's two big columns, and you can see the foundations of the columns, and in the middle, there's some clay brick masonry, the red brick masonry. You could see it there. Well, that's bearing wall. That's an original bearing wall that's carrying a part of that landing. So what the local architect has said is that should be replaced. If you look, you can see some old I-beams that, date back circa 1910, and they're corroded, they're in bad shape. So there's something needs to be done there. And what I'm saying is we're not going to approve that until we know the entire extent of the project. And to me, that's the geotechnical side where the steps that we are replacing are going to bear. Those bearing soils, there's a report coming. We want to see that report that those bearing soils are strong enough, have the bearing capacity to hold up the steps. There's a reason the steps failed originally, right? If you look at those steps, they were continuing to move. There was subsidence, and it continued at a slow rate, but it continued to open up. Those cracks didn't stay. They were moving. There was movement. So what's causing the movement? And that's what the geotechnical report's going to tell us. What we need to do. Number one, are the soils strong enough to bear that weight of the foundations and the steps? And two, if not, how to repair them. There's multiple things we could do, but of course they all cost money. And that's what we want to know before we start signing on to expand the project scope.
Well,
So that's where we are with the project.
it may cost more money, but at this stage, we can't continue without making it right, because we don't want to run into the same problem again. So the only thing is, where are we going to be money wise? But it makes sense to do it the right way.
Yeah.
We're already at what?
$370,000.
I mean,
Right.
what's
That included asbestos remediation.
I mean,
But the 350 that we bid,
350.
we were told was because there might be load bearing down there. It just isn't cement. So I'm viewing in my head that was already included or should have been already included in the
we're
350.
talking about soils. Or
Yeah, the
something.
foundations are designed. So what we're doing now is there's a geotechnical firm that's done sampling, and they're going to do the geotechnical report. We're going to calculate mathematically. It's soil, so it's not an exact science, but they're going to calculate what the bearing pressure of that soil is. And then we're going to know that. We're going to know that quite, within the week, we're going to know that.
Right.
And then we proceed with the project. That way we know what the entire scope of the project is going to be. That's the only outlier that's still out there that's unknown.
And you have to think over 100 years, that soil's probably settled quite a lot under the weight.
Well, those steps were in very bad condition.
Well, I think all we can do is wait to see what the report.
That's my recommendation. Wait for the report.
I think,
And then
I
moving
think we
forward.
have to do that.
Eyes open.
I agree. While we're at it, talking about steps, the administration steps look great. Or don't you like it?
No, I like it.
You're looking like.
No, I like it.
Commissioner, did you see it?
I like,
Yeah.
it looks really good.
They look good.
Thanks.
Can't wait to get on.
Yeah, now we gotta walk off.
For $16,000.
Okay, so getting back to the agenda, item number 6, to receive and place on file monthly activity report. It's Trumbull County Dog Pound, April 2026.
I'd like to add something to that real quick. Commissioners, on June 6th, Voices of the Pound will have a fundraiser, and it's going to be out in Howland at it's a restaurant. Salvatore's. And Matthew and I are going to be the guest bartenders. So they'll have basket raffles and things. So just, anybody that's interested in going to support the dog pound, that'd be a nice place to go. At 7 o'clock on June 6th, while we're at it here, I just figured I'd mention this. You're good. So,
Okay. Okay, items 7 through 12 were placed on by the county engineer's office. Gary?
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Yeah, Gary Schaefer, Engineers Office. Number 7 is to extend the closure of the Braceville number 811 bridge on Barkley Messerly Road. It spans Eagle Creek Road. It's underwater for quite a long time. Soils are saturated out there. It's just now starting to dry out, so the contractors get back up to finish the roadway and approach. Bridge has been in since last year. Deck's been on it. It's just a matter of finishing up the roadway. So we're extending that through the middle of June. Hopefully get that done at that time. Number 8 is to approve the road repair agreement between Trumbull County, the county engineer's office, and Select Water. If you remember McMullen Street out there, I believe most of us remember McMullen Street. It was recently paved through a similar agreement to the driveway, the private drive to Select Water. Well, this is going to extend it from that point all the way to the gate. So we'll have a brand new full-width paved road all the way to the gate, making it easier to maintain, make it easier to access water tower and our property in the back. So that's going to be 100%. The cost will be 100% paid by Select Water. And Miller Young Paving is going to complete that work. Number 9 is to formally close the roadway for this past Saturday. So there's a section of Hoagland Blackstub that was closed. I believe that was for the bird watching. Yeah. I heard it was a really good event. Well attended. It's an after the fact approval. Number 10 then is a service agreement between the Village of Lordstown and our office to provide some engineering services for a resurfacing project there in the village. Any questions? Thanks.
Gary, I do have one question.
Yeah.
I had asked, Route 7, you remember I asked you, I think it's
Yeah, there
a
was a
state project.
resurfacing project starting up out there.
Is it, they gonna close the whole road heading south, or are they gonna have a one-way, do you know?
Typically, I just saw the scope was resurfacing. If it's resurfacing, they're gonna maintain bi-directional traffic at all.
Okay.
There's gonna be delays.
Yeah.
They say hold traffic up for some of the paving operations, but they're gonna keep traffic in both directions, at least one lane.
And that's for like a month or so?
But it's quite a long stretch. Now, the paving won't be a whole month project from beginning to end, will it? But that goes from Hubbard right there all the way to Brooklyn. So
Right.
quite a big project.
I know I had some questions on it, so, okay, that's state project.
Yeah, so done.
Thank you.
Item 13, to amend Commissioners' regular meeting agenda dated April 29th. Item number 35, read to approve the personnel action increasing Mary Beth Humphrey from the administrative assistant junior levy 1932 to senior levy and transit administrative assistant 2042 per hour effective May 11th, 2026. And then it is necessary to correct the pay rate from 2042 per hour to 2085 per hour. This was placed on by Human Resources.
Commissioners Alex, Demi Johnson Bush, sorry, I had to type up for somebody else. Human and Human Resources. We just want to make sure she's paid correctly and it's done the right way and it's journalized the right way. There were.
Okay, items 14 and 15. Item 14, to approve the transfer of Mr. Richard Nichols from the position of corrections officer, Trumbull County Sheriff's Office, to the position of groundskeeper within the Trumbull County Maintenance Department, 1944 per hour effective Monday, June 1st. And 15, to approve the transfer of Mr. Chaz Oceanbine from the position of corrections officer with the Trumbull County Sheriff's Office to the position of groundskeeper with the Trumbull County Maintenance Department, 2174 per hour effective June 1st, 2026. These were placed on by Human Resources and the Facilities Administrator. If you have any questions, voting please.
Yeah, so they'll be leaving the current contract that they're under, they'll come under the ASM 2493 contract. And every probation under that contract is 120 days to answer.
Item 16, to authorize Tony Bernard, President of the Board, to authorize and execute a memorandum of understanding with Trumbull Metropolitan Housing Authority to serve as the HUD responsible entity for county metropolitan housing sites located in townships within Trumbull County and execute all necessary documents related to Trumbull Metropolitan Housing Authority environmental review documentation of 2025-2029 capital fund program activities in relation to Trumbull County. And this was placed on by the Planning Commission. If you have any questions, Julie Green's here.
I would like to, Julie Green, I would like to elaborate on this. This is the third RE that our office has undertaken. We have one with YNDC and TMP for the older home modification. We have one with TMP for the emergency repair. And this one is in collaboration with TMHA. And the scope of work varies among the three, but ultimately we review and submit it. And are essentially this responsible entity that ensures that all NEPA requirements are being met under all of these programs.
Comment? Okay, item 17 to approve personnel action in the employment of Mr. Mason Vicker, the position of project engineer with the Trumbull County Sanitary Engineers Department, effective June 4th. This is a pay range 11, 30, 38 per hour. This is placed on by the sanitary engineers. Item 18 to authorize Tony Bernard, President of the Board, to sign and execute all documents related to the application, execution, and implementation of the Appalachian Regional Commission grant application for the Rio Vista Sanitary Sewer Project 2-S-26 in Warren Township, and to authorize the Trumbull County Sanitary Engineer to prepare and submit the application to the State Regional Council of Governments for this project. Any questions regarding that?
Gary Fisher. Yes.
Item 19, acknowledge the retirement of Ms. Jen Packman from her position as utility clerk 2 with the Trumbull County Sanitary Engineers Department, effective May 29, 2026. I saw a resolution for this, or is she coming to this?
Not going.
Okay, so we're not going to be reading the resolution.
I'll just give it to it.
I mean, I'll just read what I have here.
Yeah, and then I'll just take the resolution.
Okay. Item 20 to approve personnel action for the employment transfer of Mr. Garrett Brady from the position of meter reader 1883 to the position of treatment plant operator 2318 with the Trumbull County Sanitary Engineers Department, effective May 21st. Any questions regarding that position?
Just a comment to make here. This is something good to see again too. Here's a gentleman going from a pay range 5 to a pay range 8, getting about a $5 an hour raise by working, putting his time in, getting an entry level, and then being able to work up the ladder. And that's something that I've said here for the last 4 years. We need to create ladders for people so that they can start here at a young age, make a career. If they want to transfer departments, or they want to work hard and advance their degrees, get their water training, especially training, schooling, whatever they need to advance, they can do that within the county, not have to leave the county and go somewhere else to better themselves. And this one here kind of makes me proud a little bit because the system's working correctly, where you have one employee that put his time in, now he's going to be rewarded with a $5 an hour raise by advancing himself up to a higher level position of treatment plant operator, from being a meter reader, which is hopefully gives other employees inspiration that they can do the same thing in their career.
And commissioners, I can add to what Commissioner Malloy just said. Bob Meyer, sanitary engineers. Garrett actually was hired as a custodian 2.5 years ago. And he moved from a custodian in our lab as a lab assistant to a meter reader, and now he had accepted a temporary transfer to this treatment plant operator, and now full time. So it really has kept him moving.
It should be that way in all departments, or someone don't feel like they're stuck at a low level and have to leave, or, you know, that prevents nepotism too, when people internally advance themselves rather than getting blocked by people from the outside coming in and getting higher level paying jobs. So the system's working in this instance.
Okay, item 21, to approve the personnel action for the employment transfer of Mr. Derek Wagner from the position of foreman with the County Engineers Department to position of sewer line maintenance crew assistant with the Sanitary Engineers Department effective June 1st. This here, if you'd like to go back to item 3, I think it is.
Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor, and passing out courtesy copies of what you have already received via email last week. So you should have had an opportunity to look at these already, but I'm going to go ahead and review. So CAMA, which is our computer assisted mass appraisal software, is a software used by the auditor's office to track and utilize all the real estate information in the county. It impacts both the auditor's effective roles in the property tax cycle. It includes property information such as values, tax rates, tax district. This information is invaluable to the property. The current camera software that's being utilized by the county has been in place since 2011. The company that originally created that software was purchased by another company, and over time, the quality and service has degraded with no update path in sight. We have had issues getting problems resolved, and in some cases, issues go unresolved. We have had at least one issue where they have not and will not update the software in order to make us compliant with statute. Other software providers provide products that are maintained on a regular basis and make it a point to follow state of Ohio statute to the letter. In 2024, I began investigating alternatives and found that there are several reliable companies who could provide a better service, better alternative. My research has included demonstrations with multiple companies, discussions with our current appraisal vendor, and that's very important because they interact with the software as well. Integrity appraisal services, as well as conversations with several other county auditors. Conversion to new software is a complicated task, which will be a process that takes time. During the conversion process, we will have to utilize both software packages, our current and new, for a period of time to ensure that the data is accurately converted. Staff training will also need to occur and is a requirement for any vendor that will consider. The RFP that I'm presenting has a go live date of May 1st, 2028. This date for full product conversion is based on my research in speaking with several companies as well as other county auditors. Due to our required 3-year appraisal cycle and the fact that the base of the data for any CAMA system is the value data that is updated in these cycles, this date is extremely important to successful conversion. So the triennial right now is occurring in Trumbull. The next mass reval is 2029. Those are statutory and cannot be changed. I don't decide those. The state decides those. So that conversion has to be done sometime in between 27 or 28. No general funds are required for this. So the agenda item that I'm asking you guys to consider, or the board to consider, is to actually just advertise for the RFP. Do you have questions?
Can this be completed by 27?
No.
Right here.
No.
Oh, you said it has to be between 27 and 28.
Right. time for that go live date, that 2028, it will start one, but that go live date, that's based on what the software companies are telling you. It, as I said, it's a time consuming process, right? So I understand that there may be concerns with, you know, one auditor to another. I get that. However, if we don't do it at this point while I'm still here, it'll have to wait till 30 or 31. So we'll have to utilize really bad software until then. And I don't think that's fair to the employees or even to the next auditor. Whoever that is.
I don't disagree. I mean, we have to bring it up to,
What other counties around us use this camera?
What we
Is
use-
Moaning or
Moaning-
Fort Insurance?
Moaning uses it, it's fewer and fewer every year because people are recognizing it. And I will just as an example, so, you know, we've had to do, there's a lot of changes going on right now with property tax reform. And part of that with House Bill 186 was that we had to create for the state what's called an abstract, right? And it's pulling values and things from our system. The current software didn't even try to address that for us. One of the other software companies that's out there actually created a template, for lack of a better word, but it's even like where they filled in everything for us ahead of time and helped us with it. Something that would have taken us weeks to do took several days instead, and they offered that for free for the whole state, for every county in the state. And there was another software. There was another software provider that did it for them only for their customers. Our software company, when I approached them about it, well, we're looking at it, but we've had a timeline, right? Another issue is, again, because of the changes, we're having to submit our sales ratio data in a certain format and in a certain timeline. And the current software, I know because of our appraisal vendor has he's ended up with lots of different software, right? He attempted to do it for another county with our current software, and it wasn't suitable for the state. The state rejected it. Our appraisal company had to go and redo things to make it acceptable for the state. And like I said, there's at least one thing that they absolutely refuse to address for us. And it makes us not. And so I feel like, yes, I'm in my last days or last month, so I have about nine and a half months left. I feel like this is one thing that we can do to at least get us to where we need to get this county to where they need to be. Any other questions?
doesn't incorporate general funds.
No.
Where's the money comes out of?
My REA, and then the treasurer also has a dedicated fund, but the majority of it comes from.
I mean, I don't know where this is all going, but I think it's got to be brought up to date.
Is the treasurer on board with this program?
Well, yeah, he knows that we need to get this taken care of. He recognizes the deficiencies of our current system, although we deal with it more than he does. Yes.
It's not only the auditor, but we have a lot of other issues that probably require new software to bring us up to scale, but I don't have a problem with that. I don't know if commissioners. It brings us into compliance too. You don't want to,
Right. Well,
you don't want the state coming back at you and saying,
there's one thing that I struggled with him actually almost like the first week or two in office, and they just refused to address it. So we're talking over 3 years. And then as we're moving forward and having all these changes, they're not helping us with these changes. Some they are, some they're not. And it's very difficult. And the efficiency of our office is impacted, right? If somebody's having to go in and constantly make changes because the system messed up, that's time and energy
Appreciate you addressing it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we are down to executive session.
Well, we have an executive
We didn't do
session, Mr.
it
Chairman.
today.
Commissioners Alex, Stephen Jency Bush, I know we're prepared to do the 22, 23 today. I don't want to speak to 24 and 25 because I
That's what it is. And I want to do that today. Awesome.
Mr. Chairman, prior to that, do you think that if there's anybody else here? that-
Oh, yeah, I'm just questioning whether we're gonna do them today or not. So before we go to executive session, I know, Metro, Park Board's here, on a question. See Zach's in and some of the board members.
Zach behind you. I made the same mistake.
I-
That's a Bracewell. That's
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
Tom. Tom Shea.
Yeah, you're here with, I assume you're here with the park board about the same issue.
We have our park board behind you.
Right. So if you want to address that.
Zach, you want
Yeah,
to come here and
address that now, yeah. Yeah, so, thank you guys for allowing me to come address you guys today about the log cabin. So our main driver with the log cabin, it was trying to get into the hands of somebody to, for the restoration or the relocation of the log cabin, whether that stayed on site or went off property. That was up to the people proposing, whatever their proposal was. We didn't want to really dictate how they did it or who they did it with, but, we wanted to get those proposals in. So again, our main driver for us, currently is our funds, and, we're appreciative to what the commissioners give us on a year-to-year basis. And, we're appreciative of the financial situation you guys are in, all your budget considerations. So, if you were to keep it on site, we would need really to have 4 things paid for. One is somebody would have to step up and take on the total restoration cost of the facility. And that's a number that's kind of floating depending on what kind of restoration you do, at that site. 2 would be the day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, costs and year-to-year. So, like insurance, that kind of stuff, we would need to, have some, that paid for as well. And then, as you guys are acutely aware that legacy costs always come due on, any building, any structure, you got stairs, you got, whatever it is, who would pay for those legacy costs, when they come due? Because as you guys know, we're fully dependent on you county commissioners for our budget. So, where would those monies come from? And then finally, if you do all of those other things, we would want some sort of programming dollars. Because if you're just doing it for people to walk around the outside, what was the point of doing, all the other work? So you would need some sort of programming dollars. Again, that would be to try to keep it on site. If people are interested in taking it off site, again, we would just ask for proposals, for that. And we were never looking at making any money. I know that's kind of speaking out of both sides of my mouth when we're talking, financially, but again, it was looking at getting into somebody's hands, and we were hoping locally somebody would step up, to do that. We are willing and able to, extend our deadline to June 17th for 1-page proposals. That if there are other interested parties, in the county, that they can submit a proposal, by then, so my board can review them in June.
Well, would you consider donating it to the county?
Yes, absolutely. That would, again, the dollar amount was never something that we said we want X amount of dollars. It was, hey, if let's say the fair board wants it, hey, here's the 1-page proposal. We're going to take the fair board. We're going to make it into our, little community there. Great. I would suggest that to my, board, at the May meeting, and I think you guys have it then. But we're trying to give everyone a fair chance at submitting proposals.
Senator O'Brien called me on Friday because someone from the Historical Society had contacted her. She called me on Friday and she indicated to me that there probably would be some state funds available for the renovation and that. And I told her that you were coming in today and that we were going to have a discussion and that I would get back to her. But she seems to indicate that if the county would take it or the Historical Society would take it, there's some state funding available for renovating.
Yeah, and I have been in contact with her office twice already to talk to Molly in her office to, just go over things. So they have their information.
So my question is, if that were the case, and we did garner state monies, grants to redo it. Zach, you had mentioned, about maintenance, you had mentioned,
Again, that's if it's on site. Now, let's say you take it to the fair board. That's maintenance is
are
all.
we talking about moving it to the fair? I mean, I didn't discuss, I didn't bring.
Zach, what would you do with the property if the cabin wasn't there? You're not gonna maintain the property if the cabin wasn't there?
Well, it's so majority of that. So there's two parcels there. So there's a over 100-acre parcel that we purchased with Plain, Ohio. So that's just preserve the wetlands and that kind of stuff on the property. And then there's a 5-acre parcel where the barn sits that doesn't have any intrinsic value to us permanent other than a cold storage barn that we have on site. But to get the property to N1 is going to take 6 to 12 months because of all the approvals we got to have, and my revised code section is awful for doing that. So to get the log cabin into somebody's hands, that was the route we took to try to expedite that timeline to try to get the log cabin into somebody's hands, not just the physical property.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, last week after we got the presentation, I made some phone calls. There's a group that's it was on the DIY channel. It's now the Magnolia channel on TV, and it's called Barnwood Builders. They've had 19 seasons on TV where they find historical barns, cabins. They're based out of Greenbrier County, West Virginia. A guy named Mark Bowe is the owner of the company, and they travel the country. They have a facility in West Virginia and a facility in Texas, and they find old barns, old cabins, and they either buy them and then sell them, rebuild them, and then sell them off to people that want to buy them for the private market. But for communities and historical societies, they have, out of their 19 seasons, they dedicate 3 or 4 shows per season to where they donate, where they rebuild the cabin and then rededicate it to that community. And a lot of the ones they did one in Hanover, or Hanoverton in Stark County, I believe it's Columbiana. They did one in St. Clairsville. They've done many of them in Pennsylvania because they like the Pennsylvania Dutch barn, bank barn buildings, I guess. So I reached out to Mark Bowe, the owner of the company. I had Zach send me over some pictures. He got the pictures. He says, I like it. What would you like us to do with it? And I guess basically meaning, do you want to rebuild? Do you want to sell it? What do you want to do with it? So before we do anything, I think that could be a huge thing for our community. If we work with Beth, if that's something that they choose to accept this project in our community, then we could promote it throughout the community in honor of the 250th. We could follow it through locally. The Tribune can follow it through. The newspapers can follow it through. He'll be able to air it on his cable network, and it could be something where we celebrate this cabin in a big way. And whether we move it to the fairgrounds and have them rebuild it, or we can oversee it, maintain it, watch it, do it, or do it on site there, that could be determined. But the network, I think, covers a lot of the costs, and they have philanthropists that are into this thing when they do them and they rebuild them there to help pay the costs. A lot of they list at the end to show historical societies and foundations that pay for whatever they did that day. And I think we need, for something of historical value like that, we owe it to that cabin to give it our best shot. And if there's a company that would do that, and if they have an interest and they accept it, and we could turn this into a community event celebrating Trumbull County and Braceville area, I think it's a win-win for all of us. And I would just ask that the park board pick a point person to work with me and Mark Bowe, and let's make our best pitch. Let's put together professional looking letters, letters from the community, letters from the trustees, letters from the park board, asking them to please accept this project and help us with this project. And if they accept it, it's a done deal. And we don't have to sell it, we don't have to move it. We'll figure out what's the best way to do it, and we can celebrate it on television.
What kind of timeline are you looking at?
I don't know. I don't know how backed up they are on things. I don't know. I know they've done 19 seasons already, and they're in their 19th season of doing it now. That doesn't mean 19 years. They might do 3 seasons in a year or whatever that they air. But every show follows through from beginning to end of that cabin. At the end of the show, they dedicate it. And then they do a few little side things where they take historical visits while they're building the cabin to look at other things in that area. But I would encourage everybody to Google it. It's called Barnwood Builders. And the gentleman that owns its name is Mark Bowe. Like you said, I discovered it on my Dish Network or whatever I got there, Home Time Warner. And yeah, I've recorded it, since the beginning and stuff. It's a great show. The guys are from West Virginia, and they bring a ton of knowledge where they rebuild it exactly the way it was built. If they use a certain type of log, that's what they use. And they have 2 yards full of old logs from cabins they couldn't save that they used parts and pieces from to restore it back as close to its historical values when it first came.
Denny, thank you for all your work doing that, and I was more than gracious to get you those pictures. So I'd be more than happy to work with you on that. I would just ask that while we consider that, we look at the midterm and long-term costs on doing something like that. As you know, again, I'd say this again because I think it's very important that we rely 100% on you guys for our budget. So any money we would need to maintain it, or do you like to say?
What money do you need to maintain it now?
Well, nothing. So that's why I'm saying it goes from 0 to whatever that cost would be. Depending on what level they take it to, obviously there's going to be.
Well, I think the first thing would be putting it in our name, right? Once the county owns it, then we can do whatever we want, whether we want to donate it to the Historical Society or Braceville Township or whatever. Okay, but so you're willing to give it to us?
That would be, something that my board would have to approve. What I would just ask you guys to do.
Are you talking about the land and the cabin, or just the cabin?
Well, whatever land's around it.
That's what I was, Zach, you and I talked about this. If the board would be, and Commissioner, you brought this up, if the board would be willing we could have that parceled out.
Well, again, it's a separate parcel.
Oh, it is? How many
Yeah.
acres?
The 5 acres.
So it's about 5 acres,
5
give or take.
Okay.
The problem with trying to get the parcel to you right now is that I have to follow a high revised code section that makes it almost impossible for me to do it within the next 3 months. Because I have to submit it to the newspaper for 4 consecutive weeks. Then I need probate court approval. Since we purchased with NatureWorks dollars, I have to get ODNR approval. So getting it quickly to you guys is out of the question. Getting the property to you, again, that's why I keep having a different discussion between the property and the log cabin. If you want the log cabin, we could do that, at the May meeting or at the June meeting, depending on, however you guys want to formulate your group.
The log cabin on its own without the property really doesn't seem to make sense, because what are we gonna do?
Right. And from Alex to Genesee Bush, just from an insurance perspective too, we really do need to look at that. I would be more than willing to speak with, obviously, Corsa, but typically we have a rule of thumb, typically, that we only insure what we typically own.
Right.
Otherwise, we're doing some sort of other. How we would own a log cabin but not own the land that it's on could be a little bit of just something that we need to look into. I'd be more than willing to. I just need to know what direction. And then that insurance level is really important. One more thing before I move on is the Metro Parks is not under they don't utilize Corsa's insurance. So that's what he's saying. Well, you do, but in a different way.
Yeah, correct.
They're not under our policy. So they're one of the few that's not under our policy so they are saying they couldn't afford to insure it on their own, which I fully understand why, because we pay millions of dollars in insurance. But if we own that, then we could insure it. That's an option. But I'm really going to caution you about owning something that you don't own the property. How are you going to live?
Well, that's the reason why I brought it up, because it doesn't seem to make, because what are you gonna do? Move? I don't know.
Or move the cabin to somewhere where you own.
No,
Maybe.
Well,
That's an
that's
option.
what I'm saying here. If this company, this is what they do.
Maybe
If they accept the project, we don't have any of that stuff to worry about. Then we pick and say if we want to give it to Barry at the fairgrounds and they rebuild it at the fairgrounds, they will disassemble this whole cabin.
Yeah.
Fit every piece and then they
Braceville
rebuild it.
doesn't want it.
But maybe I don't know what you,
Right,
yeah.
Braceville may want it. You know,
Yeah.
they already have one good museum in Braceville. Maybe they want a second.
I don't know if we can answer all those questions now, but I think the good thing is that Metro Parks is willing. You know, we've opened the door and they're willing to work with us. So we'll get with the prosecutor's office, we'll get with you and we'll figure out what we're gonna do, but at least we know that you're willing to help us out with the law.
Well, what we want, I guess, as a commitment is
It's,
we don't want a price tag. We're not, someone else is gonna come and buy it and take it away. We want to keep it in Trumbull County, give it our best shot first, to come up with a project where we can keep it within our county borders and restore it as it should be to its natural state. If that doesn't work, we can go to Plan B down the road, but give us time to explore this option.
Yeah.
And I think the publicity we get from this, it'll benefit the Metro Parks ultimately, it'll benefit the county ultimately, it'll benefit our tourism bureau, because people do travel. When they rebuild these things, people travel to see them, to see their work and see the dedication.
May I ask a couple of questions, Commissioner?
Sure.
Beth Cotwas Carmichael with Trumbull County Tourism. Zach, my first question is, I missed the meeting last week, so I apologize if you've already explained this, but why is this so quickly happening now that the park board needs a decision in the next month? And
Well, we're just trying to expedite, trying to get into somebody's hands so they can do something with it now instead of saying, you know, kicking the can down the road another 12 months without, you know, having really anything or anybody interested in it. We're just trying to expedite, trying to get that into somebody's hands so they could do something with it and preserve it and restore it now.
And I think when we're talking from a tourism perspective, the biggest benefit would be to keep this cabin in Braceville in the original location. I understand there'd be issues with real estate or whatever. However, an opportunity for somebody to drive 24/7 to go past or to learn more, as opposed to moving this cabin, I'm a little concerned about that. I'm not sure if the Braceville community has had enough time to even talk about what they may be able to present to you. I'm not sure that they can move in a month. I'm not sure about Trumbull County Historical Society, which I think these are all great options. I just hate that if they have 3 weeks to put something together to give to the park board, that they don't have the opportunity to really think through what that
Make
is.
sure I'm correct. That's that when we passed the resolution in February, we did give everybody 90 days. And they had been meeting over that 90-day period with KO Consulting. So not as if the 30 days is, you know, quick timeline, it's an extension of the, 90 days that we've already given.
I actually mentioned, I would agree with Beth that, you know, the story about this cabin is about where it sits. So you have a cabin that was built on a certain property. If you're going to rebuild the cabin, the story, the land that it's built on goes with the story and the reason why it's a part of history and why I think that it should stay in that spot and be rebuilt. And if it can be, you know, if the county somehow or other, and I understand what Alex is saying, if somehow or other we can take that over and the commissioner, he works on whatever. I'm sorry. What's that?
Yeah, once you, I agree with you, Commissioner Hernandez, I agree with you. Once you move that.
It's part of the story.
Then you lose a big part of it.
Right, and if they're gonna travel, they wanna travel to that area to see why it's there.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
You've been wanting to speak for.
I just have a question.
Take your name, please.
Paul Yanucci, Warren, Ohio. You said that you would have to run an ad for 4 weeks for the property and the bills.
Yes.
Is there a way, since you're talking about the courts being 3 or 4 months, is there a way during that 4 weeks that you could talk to the courts once it's 4 weeks is up to expedite getting it through there? Because there's really nothing that's holding it. There's no secret about any of the property or the building. So
No.
it shouldn't be a reason for it to be held up.
Yeah, in our revised code section, again, we have to put in the newspaper for 4 weeks. We have to send letters to interested parties. And, there's specificity within that revised code section. It's 1545 point something. I can't remember right off the top of my head. And then my board has to approve it. Then it has to go to the probate court for his approval. Then ultimately, because we purchased it with Major Works funding, it has to go to ODNR for the ODNR director's approval.
But isn't there a way to get all these people together so that once that 4 weeks is up to get things rolling, so you're not stuck in that 3
I
months?
can't speak for the probate judge and or the ODNR director, quite frankly.
I mean,
Because I imagine they'll need to see it in a specific order. So
Well, again, you know what, you're willing to work with the county, that's
Yes.
a good thing. Let's see where we go from that and work. Sure, everybody's gonna stay on top of this.
yeah, and Denny, if you want to work together and get stuff.
I just emailed him out, asked me, you set a conference call up with you, me,
Yeah.
Beth and Historical Society.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would include Brace Hill as well.
Yeah.
That's in their
She's been
community.
trying to.
I'm just saying a conference call, we get a Zoom and, and make a pitch. So
Again, thank you, Jack, and thank you.
Your name.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm Cindy Mines. I was here at the meeting last week and I've been to the Metro Parks Board meeting many times about this. We had sent a proposal to Zach within their guidelines, within their timelines. The Friends of the Log Cabin, we were willing to take it, be responsible for it, do everything for it, leave it on site. If you ever want something to be on the National Register for Historic Places, it cannot be moved. You move it, it's not historical. It won't be on the National Register site anymore. I had found out about these Barnwood builders. I can't tell you how many people calling me to check with them. So that the fact that Mr. Malloy did that was wonderful. Can check that off my list. But we are willing, the Friends of the Log Cabin are willing to take on the log cabin. We have the Braceville Historical Society and the Trumbull County Historical Society that are willing to work with us with the finances to be like fiscal agent. All of this has not been like put in stone or anything because we don't know that we're getting it yet. I have had numerous calls since the newspaper report, being on the news with Mr. Boney. One person called me and asked if we had a GoFundMe going yet, and I said, that's in the discussion. And he said he's willing to make a substantial donation. Now, my substantial donation and his substantial donation would be totally different. So I feel that we are working with the different historical societies, Braceville Township, that we are more than willing to take on this project, to take on the funds to take care of it. As far as, I don't know anything about insurance, so that would be something totally different that we would have to learn about. But if with the commissioners and the county, I think we could all work together. Like I said, we are more than willing. And I understand what he says about all the hoops you have to jump through. I understand that. But I can tell you for a fact that if the community is behind you, if the Trumbull County is behind you, if we moved the yellow house in less than a year, it was given to us August 17th. It was moved in its place August 15th. And that was with all the things, and I can't tell you how many people said I couldn't do it. We couldn't do it. Of course, I can do it alone. But I had somebody sitting at that table in pink behind me, and she worked it out. I had so that people bent over backwards for us to get that yellow house moved. I feel this would be exactly the same. People, the lawyer stepped up and did this stuff for free. I mean, there was just so many people that were willing to work with us. And I feel this log cabin would be exactly the same. The people are interested in saving this history. It's not just Braceville history. This is history of the founding of Trumbull County, the rural area of Trumbull County, not Warren. Everybody, a lot of people know Warren's history, particularly thanks to the Trumbull County Historical Society's efforts lately. But they're willing to work with us in how Trumbull County rural area was built. And this is a remarkable example of that. And I just feel that with all of the groups working together, there shouldn't be a problem. And I don't know about the 5 acres. I tried to walk back there. Holy moly.
Yeah, so Julie Green, may I say something? I thank you, Cindy, for recognizing. I did play a small part in that. However, Mr. Diorio, I believe, was the full credit from MS Consultants.
Oh, John
Pierco. I'm sorry, I gave the wrong last name. John Pierco really made that happen very quickly.
But you told me to call them, so.
But the only question I have regarding your statement of being the responsible entity, is your group a 501c3?
We are not. We are a group within the Braceville Historical Society.
The Braceville Historical Society would then have to be the owner of said property.
Okay. Or, I mean, I didn't.
Or Trumbull County.
Yeah, we haven't got that far
Either way.
because we don't know.
Well, I was just wanted to clarify.
Yeah,
this
we've talked
because
to
it's
them and
not-
I've talked to the Trumbull County Historical Society.
Right. And you can split out a piece of that parcel. It would require a survey of the land and transfer costs, deed preparation, all of those things. If that's something, if that's an avenue you wanted to.
Well, I'm just gonna ask Zach, would the board, I know you're only one, would the board be interested in to get that off of their, off of your radar plate, to donate that land? I don't know about the county if we want, but would Braceville be interested in taking a donation of that land? Would you be able to even do that?
Well, I would have to go back and look at my revised scope section and go look back at the Nature Works grant funding. Because we utilize state funds, so sometimes you have to pay back state funds, so I have to make sure that that's not a part of the requirement. Because that makes a considerable difference in terms of what the dollar amount, because, free sounds nice, but given, appraisal costs and all that, it could,
So if you do your research, back to us, let us know.
Yep.
What the bottom line is, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I'll send you guys a full report, email it over, so that way it's, expedited, I guess.
Right. And once you tell us what's required, then we can go from there.
Okay.
I mean, you know what we're looking at.
Yeah. Yep, into
The cabin and the lake.
Okay. Into.
Yeah, I think ultimately we need to consider just keep that there.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
find a way to redo it, and
History,
it's
it has to
history.
stay there, because it'll lose little.
Yeah.
One more
Yeah,
quick
yeah,
note, Alex and Jesse Bush, for everybody sitting here, this is really important. One thing that I love that Corsa has done over the past year is they have changed. So what we used to do is used to pay a price, and it was, we would restore a historic value building, but it may not be at everything dollar for dollar what it should be to keep that historic. Now there's an up cost, but at least they're upfront with you. And they will preserve anything. So our covered bridge, that was a kind of a debacle, but it was built back the way that it should have been historically. Another one would be our courthouse. It's very expensive, but if anything happens over there, we pay that upcharge to make sure that it's restored through our Corsa policy at its full value to be historic and remain historic. The log cabin would also be one. We have 4 of those in our county. Those are just 2 of the 4 that I listed to you. If Corsa were to be able to insure the log cabin, which I think would be the best situation, again, however we figure out the parcel or whatever may be coming, But at least you know that that cabin will always be, if it's insured through Forza, restored back at its historical value, which is a good thing.
Again, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Zach.
And I have contacted ODNR and the group and the whoever gave the funds. So they are aware, because I was
Okay.
wondering the same thing. If it was a grant, can you even do anything with it?
Yeah.
And there was some, because it's 2017, which means it's in a file in a box down the road. But they are aware of.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Because of the same thing. If the grant money doesn't allow you to do anything with it, that kind of.
Yeah.
Puts a different spin.
Yeah, but I would think that with them not selling it, and it's either gonna go to us or the Historical Society, that grant, they may, forgo all that, because they're not gonna sell it now, they're gonna give it to us. They're giving it to somebody.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Yep. And that was a state grant, correct?
Yeah, it was ODNR, yeah, state, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, anyone else like to address the board?
Commissioner Julie Green, I know you have to go into executive session. Would you be willing to?
Yeah. We'll sign
I
this.
have them ready.
Or we got to do this.
You want to just say words?
Yes.
Okay, before we go ahead, you say your name.
Yeah. My name's Paul Yanucci. I live at 241 Mercer Place Northeast here in Warren. Reason I came to you guys today, I got two things. One, I passed out to the commissioners. This is about North Park Avenue, Edison, and North River Road. I went last week and talked to Warren Township. They tell me, they looked on their map and they told me that Edison, for the west of Edison, the properties there belong to Warren Township, but the road belonged to the city of Warren. So I went to the engineer's office here, to the city, and that packet that you've got is what they printed out for me. My concern is at Edison, and I even talked to the county engineer, and I've been getting a runaround for a couple of years now. They all passed the buck from one place to another. So I'm coming to you guys because one way or another, this has got to be settled. It's not a very important thing, but it's important enough for me to come here. The thing about Edison, I would like to see that they put street lights up at both ends of Edison. And there's a sign missing, an intersection sign missing if you're coming eastbound on North River Road that points to that road, that points to Edison. The west side has one, but the east side don't. The reason I'm talking about the street lights is because if you're coming eastbound on North River Road towards a traffic light at North Park, you miss the road because it's so dark over there. There's a street light across the street for the trailer park over there, which doesn't do that intersection any good because you can't see the road until you get right on top of it. So I'd like to, and the same thing, North Park Avenue, that's not as bad, but the one on North River Road and Edison is the bad spot. I call it a bad spot. I drive these roads a lot. I call in the pot holes and everything else. Also, this morning, I was over on North River Road and Park Avenue. And I took a photo because I talked last week, like I said, I talked to Warren Township. And I took a video. This is the southwest corner. This is the southwest corner where the grass hasn't been cut, and it's as tall as I am. Now, I guess the county must have cut the 3 or 4 foot section on North River Road and down towards Edison on North Park Avenue. But the rest of it is tall. And when you're at the traffic light on North Park Avenue looking westbound, you can't see the cars coming if you want to make a right-hand turn on red. And so, you know, like I said, I talked to Warren Township, and they said they were going to send a letter out to this guy. I guess it's private property now, because I had talked to engineer's office, and they said that they went out and cut a strip out of there last year. And usually it was maintained pretty well. This year is the first year I've seen where it's that bad. Okay. Well, anyways, I took a photo showing westbound North River Road, and that you just can't see down there. So I come to you guys because I'd like to have somebody address that with the county engineers and Warren Township, whoever. All I know is City of Warren says it doesn't belong to me.
Mr. Yanucci, you've been at the trustees meetings? Have you run this by?
Where I went, you know, that's another thing too. I went over there, tried to get in the building, couldn't get in the building. I knocked on the door and everything else. There's not even a buzzer to buzz you in there. And finally, I think it was Mr. Yoho who answered the door, and Chief Harold finally answered the door. And I talked to both of them, and they showed me the map that where they thought that Edison belonged to the city. And I said, something's not right here. And that's why I went to our city engineers, and they pulled all this information up for me.
Well, your trustees should be able to help.
Yeah, those are trustees.
But have you gone to their meeting?
No, I don't know when they have.
Okay, see, I really believe that that's why you have trustees. And I mean, I'm all about, you know, and I know the commissioners feel your pain about that light, but it really, the process starts with your trustees, and you go to that trustee meeting. Do you have other residents that are complaining about this?
You know, only if I bring up the conversation, but nobody talks out like I do.
There's powers.
When I got something to say, I say it. I could care less, win, lose, or draw.
There's powers in numbers. And
I understand.
There's others that are complaining about that, and you go to your trustees. It's their responsibility really to answer to your concerns. And then if it gets to the commissioners, that's a different story. You know, if the trustees come to the commission.
Well, it all has to start somewhere, and I'm the somewhere.
I agree with that. And appreciate you coming, but I really believe in this case, in most cases, the way this works is you get it. What are the trustees? Do we know when the trustees meetings are? Oh, you have them right here. You have them right here. May 26th. If you could make that meeting on May 26th and let them know that you came to the commissioners and that we understand the situation, that, you know, the trustees need to do some due diligence and look into this for you. You shouldn't be having to do all that work. This is what the trustees are there for.
Well, now the sign, that's a whole nother issue. That comes from either the state.
Yes, but the trustees then will have to get with the county engineer to do that traffic study, and that opens
Well, they
up
should
a
have
whole
to do
new.
a traffic study, put a sign up if there's one on the west side.
Well,
We have the county.
oh, I don't know, Gary, you're here. I don't know.
Address a couple things.
Okay, Edison and North River Road and North Park are all county roads. Roadside mowing, yes, is our responsibility on all those streets. That's been addressed. And there's high grass on private property. That's going to be something that needs to be addressed through the local zoning. We'll take a look at that sign as soon as I get back. I'll call my sign foreman. That taken care of. We're pretty reactive on that, and I do appreciate those calls and those notes for missing signs, because we just don't know unless it's reported. The streets, the street lights, that's through the townships. So we could discuss that with the township and see if we can get something moving forward.
Now, the lights, I brought that up a couple of years ago, and it kept getting passed around.
They have to pay for that, correct?
Yes, it's something, yeah, they would have to pay for, and it's an
Is that a
ongoing
district?
cost.
Does that become a district?
Yes, you'd have to create
Okay.
one. If
Yeah,
there's not
that-
already one there. So we'd have to take a look. Who's paying for the street lights that are already there? You said there's one for the trailer park. I'll maybe get that added to them. Traffic signals are ours, street lights are the local.
Well, that's great. You got Gary here is able to handle that street sign for you right away.
Now, one other thing I'm gonna bring up, and I'm not happy right now about this. And this concerns, you guys talk about bringing businesses to the community. I'm a lifelong resident of Illinois. I was born and raised here. We lost a lot through losing our steel industry. And now we're coming back. We're slowly bringing businesses back. And with that in mind, last week, or a week ago, last Friday, I get an article that comes up. It says that a company by the name of Delta Camshaft is leaving the state of Washington and they're looking for a place to go. So I immediately got online. I sent emails, phone calls to the representatives. I spent from that morning until I had to go pick up my kid. And I was still going after that. And the only phone call I received was from Nick Santucci's office 5 minutes after I emailed him. I even left a message here for you, never got a phone call back.
Well, I turned that over because Nick Coggins was here from the planning commission. He has all that information. Julie, I don't know if you heard about it.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, so.
Well, I never heard nothing from nobody's my point.
Okay.
You guys are supposed to be representatives, and when I say that, I'm talking about state senators, congressmen, local. Nobody but Nick Santucci was the only one that called me 5 minutes later. And I said, what the hell? No, I guess nobody cares about this business.
Well, you didn't call me, so you can't blame me.
No, but you're part of the commissioner's office.
Yeah, but I
I'm
wasn't
not gonna
aware.
argue that
No,
point with you.
no, the only thing I'm saying is I wasn't aware.
Well, I called this office. What am I gonna do? Leave a message? I left a message with him because.
Well, yeah, and you have to either say for all the commissioners or.
Well, I'll do that next time.
And again, just to reiterate, when I got that message, and actually Dawn can confirm this, we were together after the meeting. I don't know if you heard it, Lisa, but Nick Coggins, our planning commission, said, give me that number. Let me look at this, because that's what the planning commission does. So I apologize for not getting back to you, but I turned it over to him thinking that he had your number, and I'm going to get with Nick, and then I have your number. I'll get with Nick and find out what he found out.
Well, Santucci's office gave me when they called me back, they said, you need to get a hold of the River and Lake Authority.
Lake to
River.
And Sarah. Never heard nothing from her. That's the second time that her name has been mentioned. Never a phone call from nobody from that office.
Mr. Yanucci, may I add something? Julie Green. I'm sorry that you did not get a return call, but that doesn't mean that they're not following up on the.
Yeah, but I don't know what's going on. If I'm communicating with you people, somebody needs to communicate with us.
We will definitely follow up with you. I don't know that maybe they thought that perhaps they were just grateful for the information and moving forward with it. Maybe they didn't understand that you wanted to be kept in the loop.
I even sent an email to Delta Camshaft. And I thought, this would be a perfect business for this area since they make camshafts. And us being in the automotive business and people with all these hot rods and cars and everything, this is a popular area for cars. And I sent them a message and I told them that I'd gotten a hold of my state representatives and I wanted to get there right away so that if we had an opportunity to bring these people here. Now, I don't know how many people work for them, but they're not happy with the state of Washington.
And I'm sorry, Julie Green, one more thing. Typically, when you're dealing with economic development opportunities and site selectors, one of their primary requests and rules is that we do not announce anything. We do not share information with anyone.
Yeah.
So that is probably part of the issue that, maybe the reason why you did not get a return call. And truthfully, discussing it in a public meeting today could also be an issue. So I just want to bring that to the attention of the commissioners.
Well, if I'm the originator of this, I should have been left in the loop and you could say, please don't say anything. We talk about communication all the time. Well, there's no communication with me. And, you know, the public, once this happens, or if this happens, I would like to know what Delta Camshaft said in response to if you guys reached out. And it would be nice to know that, just for my personal, even if I had to keep it quiet, you guys call me up and say, Paul, we don't want you to say nothing to anybody until we get this figured out. And I understand that. I was a cop. And I understand what keeping certain things secret means. And I have no problem speaking out, just like I am now. Whether it's an issue or not now, I really don't care because I didn't hear nothing. And the people have a right to know. We need to find out something, or somebody needs to tell me what they found out from this company. I didn't even want to talk about it, but I didn't hear nothing. So.
Yeah,
I figured.
I agree. I think you should at least got a phone call back, but in response to Director Green, I've called Nick on several occasions and he's pretty good.
Yes, he is.
He'll make a phone call and he'll get the information and I'm sure he'll get back to you. But
Well, like I said,
but Director Green's, she's absolutely right. A lot of times these companies, they don't want to discuss what they're doing or where they're looking at. But hopefully, we'll get you an answer. And if you don't, let the commissioners know, and we'll make sure that we get an answer for
all
you.
right, well,
Okay?
I'll set my piece. Thank you.
No, thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, motion for executive.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we enter executive session pursuant to ORC 12122 G1. Consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, the compensation of a public employee in the sanitary engineering office.
Second.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Bernard.
Yes.
Motion to reconvene from executive session pursuant to ORC 5122. G1 to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion for compensation of public employed sanitary engineers department.
Second, or senator?
So we just did.
Oh, yes, second.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Bernard.
Yes.
We'll back in.
And Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we enter executive session pursuant to 122G6 to discuss the details relative to the security arrangements and emergency response protocols, public body or public office, where disclosure of the matters discussed can reasonably be expected to jeopardize the security of the public body or public office.
Second.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Bernard.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to reconvene from executive session pursuant to ORC code 12122 G6 to discuss details relevant to the security arrangements and emergency response protocols for public body or public office, where disclosure of the matters discussed could reasonably be expected to jeopardize the security of the public body or public office.
Second?
Mr. Malloy.
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Bernard.
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion.
You have anything else, Lisa?
Yeah, just real quick, I wasn't sure I wanted to ask when Bill was in here, I wasn't sure where we were at with the prisoner, the housing contract, because that was in my file. This week.
You mean the contract with?
Yes.
I spoke with him,
Sorry.
he's still waiting,
Sorry.
he's still waiting on the contract from the city,
Okay,
and, I had a couple other questions, and he's gonna check them out. On the contract between the jail.
Sure.
And that, I don't know how much we wanna say publicly, but.
Yeah, I mean, all I'll say is, Bill Danza, prosecutor's office, I have tried reaching out to the city of Warren a couple of times. I just, what I would prefer, and I think we talked about this last week, the way that the documents are all written up by the city now, it just says that once the commissioners approve the MOU, then they'll send over a contract for final approval, and it's just a little unusual. Usually what we do is we have the draft contract ready to go, and then it's a one and done approval. So I think that's, I think that's what I would prefer to see from them. I think what they are meaning to do is present essentially the same contract that's been used in the past. And if that's the case, if they could just confirm that once I talk to them, then you guys will know, whether you like the terms or not, maybe are a different question, but at least we'll know what that starting point is. And then you guys can talk whether you like the existing terms, whether there's anything different that you want to see. And we can certainly work through that on our end. You guys can reach out with any questions and we can talk it over.
Well, I conveyed to you my question, and are you gonna reach out to the city about my concern?
I can do that when I talk to them and see what their response is, Again, I think that like Major Bobby said last week, to a large degree, this contract has really been the same since probably 2012, 2017 at the latest, or at the earliest. So I mean, it's been at least 10 years probably that this has been unchanged. And I think in most of its parts, it goes back even longer than that. So, we can certainly talk to them about little changes that we want to see along the way. I know we have some examples from some other municipalities and counties around the state that kind of show where they're at on things. And, it really just depends on what the commissioners want to do as far as that negotiation. Once we come to that conclusion that, we've got at least a draft ready to go.
Okay.
Also, commissioners, real quick, I'm gonna need some dates. I emailed you yesterday. I need 3 dates from you for a joint commission. With my home. So even if you can give those to me tomorrow.
In June.
Well,
I thought the same thing. I thought we're coming up on a holiday and.
I thought we had a meeting with him, what did it?
Well, no. Okay, so bring you up to speed a little. I talked to Gina. And he, enjoyed the Port Authority, all that was good, but the idea was to meet 3-on-3, you know what I mean? Not the big, tour and all that, just to bang some heads and talk about,
Bang some heads.
well, the valley. Well, so to speak, bang on the gong.
Just
Anyway,
wrote
but-
you out to me tomorrow.
Thursday.
But
We
here-
don't have anything yet. That's a couple
But,
days from
yeah.
now.
Cause their meetings, I believe, are on Thursday mornings, so,
Was it Tuesday or Wednesday?
okay,
Make
like
it cut us. What's that?
afternoon.
Like right after a regular workshop or meeting?
The only
We'll see
thing.
what they have available too. They haven't.
The only thing that not that it's a big deal, but they want us to meet at them there.
Yeah.
I originally had discussed with a meeting at a neutral location. I don't know that it matters. I don't know that, I
Well,
mean,
Such as what? Neutral.
Does it have to be a public meeting?
I mean, if you guys are gonna get together to discuss public business, it really should be a public meeting.
So we have to advertise it and all that.
Why don't we try to meet on the county line where we had their meeting 2 years ago where the Port Authority hosted it? They have that building that they own that has a lot of their senior services, things like that in there. And it's right on the Lordstown, Austintown border. It's a campus,
I'm not
and they have a bunch of meeting rooms there. They have a big open area. We had a Port Authority meeting there a few years ago.
I
Why
mean,
don't you reach out to Gino and see what he's thinking and
did their clerk get a hold of you, Lisa?
Yes. One of your clerks, yeah.
All right, I'll first get a hold of.
I think they just are wanting to get something on the books.
Right, it's probably just because we didn't know about a location. What did you call that, Danny? The what?
They call it something campus. And it's where they have their
I'll ask him.
they got some JFS there, they got some what Dimitri does, you know, they're all in this campus setting type of thing. It's an old senior living facility, but they modernized it and they have a lot of their apartments there. It's right on the county
Well, if it's
line.
an open meeting, do we need our clerk there and stuff like that, or what?
Probably.
Yeah, so.
It would have to be commissioners. So that's why maybe the only thing I can think of Alex doing Jonesy Bush was they wanted you to have it there so they had their live streaming
Maybe.
capability.
You mean at their office, they wanted it?
I mean, possibly because if, again,
I think
because
it'd be the best.
that makes sense of, you know,
If it's at one of the locations.
whether here or there, you know, you're still gonna have to take proper minutes and all that. So.
I mean, I don't want to make it a big ordeal, but you know, it's kind
It
of.
should be done though. We haven't done it
No, we
ever,
need to.
and we're the
We need to
company,
do it.
and
Right.
we'd be
We
remiss
need
if we
to do
didn't
it.
do something like that.
I'm gonna call Gino and then I'll let you know what I hear in the commissioners, what I'm hearing about a neutral locate. Well, wait. The problem is you need
The technology.
you need to journalize, you need to have your clerk there, so.
And we
It
could
would
do
either be
we could
there
do
or
it
here.
1 or 1:30 on a Tuesday or Wednesday, be done here, and then scoot there if need be.
What's that?
So we did it on Tuesday or Wednesday, we could finish up our workshop or regular meeting by noon, 12:30, and be there by 1 or 1:30.
You mean at their office?
Yeah, if they wanted to do
So-
it there.
So we don't have issue with, I mean, what's your,
No, I don't care where we go.
okay,
I'm just looking at the dates, that's all.
wait, you said June what?
Second or third.
Or even the 9th or 10th.
I'll have to, yeah,
To
right.
breathe a little bit.
Yeah, it would,
But they meet on Thursdays, you said, right?
I believe so, yes.
is Memorial gonna mess us up next
No,
week?
so, yeah.
No, well, the meetings will just be bumped today.
That's what I thought.
And you have that right.
Workshop will be, yes.
Okay,
Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday, Thursday.
Wednesday, Thursday. Wednesday will be the workshop, Thursday will be.
okay, so then you're just gonna put those dates out there?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
And we could announce them at the meeting tomorrow.
yeah. I make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Second.
Mr. Hernandez.
Yep.
Mr. Malloy.
Yes.
Mr. Bernard.
Yep.